Now, less than a week after it started, baseball season is already in jeopardy. 4 more players on the Miami Marlins tested positive for COVID-19, forcing Major League Baseball to cancel the team's games through at least the weekend. So what does this mean for the rest of the league? TJ Holmes has a closer look.
Benches cleared in a clash between the Houston Astros and LA Dodgers, teams with a history.
Correa publicly and on tape said, if you don't know what's going on, you ought to shut.
The Astros' Carlos Correa was forced to duck this wild pitch from the LA Dodgers' Joe Kelly. The rivals stampeding out of the dugouts, screaming and shoving face to face, no social distancing here, with only the officials and coaches required to wear masks. But it won't be baseball as usual for the Miami Marlins. After an outbreak of COVID-19 in the Marlins clubhouse, MLB has put the Marlins season on hold.
Oh, boy.
17 members of the Marlins organization have tested positive for COVID-19. The Marlins saying, we continue to take this situation very seriously. All of our players, coaches, and staff are understandably having a difficult time enduring this experience. The Marlins were supposed to play the Washington Nationals this weekend.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm scared. Right now, you don't know if, because of my heart condition, what happens, to me if I do get it.
The Marlins outbreak has led to a domino effect. Their opponents last weekend, the Philadelphia Phillies, have now canceled their games through Friday as a precaution, including a series with the New York Yankees.
If you're going to have success on the baseball field this year, is you're going to have to be able to deal with, the curveballs that, can likely come on a daily and weekly basis.
This all comes just 6 days after the start of the long-delayed season.
I think it's the shell shock component is how quickly it deteriorated.
Well, players from other leagues, of course, are keeping a close eye on what's happening in MLB right now, including in the NFL, where at least a dozen players have opted out of the upcoming season because of COVID-19 concerns. And also of note, NHL, MLS, and NBA have announced just in recent days that in their latest round of testing, they had not a single player test positive for COVID-19. What's the difference between those leagues and MLB? All those leagues are operating, Diane, inside a bubble.
All right, big distinction, TJ. Thank you. And for more, let's bring in ESPN's Bomani Jones. Bomani, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, given what we're seeing with the Marlins, what you just heard TJ saying about the difference between baseball's handling of this and some of the other leagues, does the MLB need to rethink its whole plan at this point?
Well, they had a 113-page manual for what to do with COVID-19, protocols, plans, everything else, and they did not have a plan for an outbreak, which is one of the more stunning things to think of, unless they somehow believe that if there was an outbreak, there was literally nothing that they could do about it. That's the only way it's reasonable to me that they did not have a plan for it. So Rob Manfred, the commissioner, has made it clear that he does not think that this is a disaster scenario. And I guess he has to say that because if this happens again, they can't call it multiple disasters. So I do think that there's some measure of rethinking that they have to do. But I also wonder if within the plan they have, if there's anything they can do about what happened. Do they have any kind of contingency that they can step to in this moment? And I'm not certain that they do.
I mean, given you don't sound very confident in their plans right now, put yourself in the position of the players. How do the players move forward, especially when we're hearing from some who have underlying conditions and are worried about what happens if they get this virus?
Yeah, well, I'm surprised as many players played as they have. We just heard yesterday, I think 6 New England Patriots have backed out. There were 12 players total in Major League Baseball who decided that they did not want to play. And we saw after the Marlins had the first round of tests, the players then voted to play again the next day. So I think that there are going to be some players and some teams that make some decisions about things that they're not willing to do. But I don't think that we really are going to see a broad consensus from individual players on what it is that they want to do in this event. And the Players Association, I don't think that they're in the clearest position to just say, okay, this is what all of us are going to do. Because remember this, it is the exclusive prerogative of the commissioner of baseball to decide if these games go on. If the players say we're not going to play, the commissioner can technically say, yes, you will.
That's kind of a scary thought. But we know the NBA will resume its season tomorrow in Orlando. They've handled this very differently. The NBA Commissioner Adam Silver actually joined GMA this morning to talk about what's happening in baseball and how the NBA is dealing with this pandemic. Let's listen.
Obviously, we're seeing what's happening in baseball with the Marlins, so it's something we continue to track very, very closely. Having said that, we have confidence in this protocol that we designed, that as you referred to it as a bubble. I mean, it's not actually a sealed bubble, but everyone who's on that campus is tested on a daily basis. They're taking extraordinary precautions. Even the only time they're not wearing masks is when they're actually playing basketball. To the extent that somebody tests positive, we'll obviously track them closely. We quarantine people who first come down. So we think we have a plan in place that should work.
Bomani, given everything you just heard, what do you hope to see from the NBA as the season gets started? And what can baseball draw from this in terms of lessons?
But I think the only thing that you can hope for from the NBA is as few positive tests as possible. And I am amazed that they've managed to pull this off. I told people last week, I asked when was the season starting. They said this week. I had never even bothered to find out when the season was actually going to start because I did not think it was possible that they would be able to pull this off. They've got quite the insulated environment that puts them in a great position to be able to do this. And I think if there's a lesson that Major League Baseball can learn is you guys probably should have tried to come up with some kind of bubble setup. They could have probably done so if they had been in Arizona or Florida. But the problem is Arizona and Florida are real hot spots right now. And with baseball being able to do it at the wide world of sports, they could insulate themselves from so much in ways that I think that the other sports could not. So props to them. Kudos to them for being able to get it figured out in the way they have. But I think that in some ways it's an apples to oranges comparison with baseball.
Bomani, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your take as always.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.